Alright everybody, we're back here with old Mr. Farmall, and besides it running poorly, smoking a lot and all of that, the battery has been giving me trouble, and I'm not sure yet if it's the alternator not giving enough voltage or the battery is not keeping it. I bought this battery when I first bought this tractor, which is almost 2 years ago, and this tractor comes with two long 6-volt batteries, one here in this case and one on the other side, really thick leads, and the two voltages were added together, so it was connected in series, and it gave extra cranking amps that way. But I just bought the highest cold cranking amps battery I could find at the auto parts store, and it was doing okay up to this point, but it may have been too much of a strain with this big old starter, or maybe it's just the alternator not charging it. So we're going to take it off and give it a good charge at home. Alright, so we got the battery off, and something I want to check is the timing. The injection pump spins with the flywheel on the front of the engine, sort of like a distributor cap, but instead of distributing electricity to spark plugs, it distributes the diesel that's coming in to the injectors at the exact moment. So we're going to kind of check the timing real quick, and I also need to check to make sure that my throttle is actually connected on the inside. There could be a pin that connects it, because it hardly responds when I increase speed. It really doesn't do anything, so we're going to check that real quick too. I'm still learning a lot about this Bosch pump, but I'm pretty sure this shaft should not just keep spinning in one direction like that. That tells me maybe it's disconnected on the inside, which is kind of a good sign. At least that's a small thing I can fix right now. Alright, I'm going to check the timing of the injection pump first before I start taking all kinds of things off. I'm going to take this cover off. I just loosened the alternator and took the belt off. I'm going to take this plate off so that I can see better. Another problem I'm having is the hydraulic fluid always seems to look milky. I replaced 15 of the 17 gallons. I took it all out and put 15 in, and a little while later it was milky again. I'm not sure why. So the hydraulic fluid comes in here and runs through a cooler that I believe is connected to the radiator and comes back here. I think I'm going to try to just jump it off right here and let it recirculate back, and just to see if it doesn't get milky after that. Then I know that somehow radiator water is getting into my hydraulic oil. Alright, it's a little bit difficult to see because of the sun. Let's see. Alright, each injector has two studs that it bolts down to, and I want to make very sure that I'm on top dead center with the number 1 cylinder, and I don't want to guess, so I'm just going to go ahead and disconnect this fuel line and take this cylinder off and rotate the engine till I know that compression is happening in this cylinder, and then check the timing marks. I learned this trick back when I was younger, when we used to like to make tents and stuff out of sheets in our bedroom. Tie a knot in the corner of the sheet, and it gives you an anchor to tie a string onto. See that? I wanted to melt a hole in it, but it wasn't working out well. This is just to better secure this temporary cover. It's going to go over the tractor. Alright, here's what I did to find top dead center on cylinder number 1. I had a piece of clothes hanger in my truck. Very useful tool, by the way. And I straightened it out a bit right here. And I took the injector off. So you can see the two studs a little bit better here and here. And I had to pry and poke and push a little bit to get it off. Well, okay, so first I took the fuel line off. Then I took this banjo connection off. This is the low pressure return diesel that goes all the way across back to the tank. And then I took the two studs off, and then I kind of had to pry and tap and hit with a screwdriver and a hammer gently, and it came off. So here's the injector. It says Germany. And there's a serial number. This tip is actually in pretty good shape, but a couple of them have been corroded by moisture. There are 4 or 5 tiny holes right at the tip right there. Now you can see one of them right there. And they squirt the pressurized diesel out in a mist evenly, kind of out like this, into the cylinder when it's needed. So, to find top dead center, I was able to put a socket on the front of the flywheel. I think it was a 14 millimeter. Let's see. I used the pry bar and 16 millimeter turned clockwise. There are 3 bolts on the face of the flywheel, and I just did one of those clockwise so that I wouldn't loosen it until I got to the timing marks, which are here. See these marks? I think it says 10 on one end and 20 on the other. 20 over here and 10 over there. And so 2, 4, 6, 8 degrees, 2 degrees for each line. And I think it needs to be around 14 or 16. I don't remember. I'll have to look it up again. But these are degrees before top dead center. And on a gasoline engine, that's when the spark plugs would fire. Because the engine moves so quickly, you want the spark to happen as the piston is still compressing your fuel and air. And so the explosion kind of happens right at the exact moment and forces that piston down. So this is set. So, oh yeah, so the clothes hanger was being pushed up because the piston was coming up underneath it, pushing it up. And so thankfully I didn't have to go another round. I was already close to my timing mark, and I was on top dead center with just about 3/4 of a turn of the flywheel. So as I saw my rod coming up from the piston hitting it, pushing it up, I knew that I was there. Alright, let's pause here for a second. After thinking about this for a few weeks now, I realized the error of my ways. I did not know for sure if this was top dead center on the compression stroke. It may have been top dead center on the exhaust stroke. Dun dun dun! I'm going to take off this plate right here to see a wheel with a mark on it inside the diesel pump, injector pump right here. Okay, some diesel came out, but here's what we have. I don't know what I'm looking at. Let's rotate the flywheel a little bit and see what happens. To get the pry bar. See something moving in there, but I mean, are there any marks or anything? I thought there was supposed to be a little silver wheel in there. and an arrow. It don't look like the video I watched. Does it ever, really? Alright, I think I discovered a discovery. I rotated around. I don't know, I think I just did a 3/4 of a turn, looking for a mark on this little black wheel back here. And finally came across something. I hope you can see that, but this little screw is holding a marker. Okay, that little straight edge of that marker seems to be my marker. And then right above that is a very, very light line on this black wheel. Yeah, you can see it right there. See that little white, light colored line going all the way across the edge of that black wheel? I think that's my mark. And I think that should be lined up when the engine is at its 14 degrees or whatever it's supposed to be. And guess what? I don't think it is. Let me rotate the engine a little bit more. Okay, so that mark is lined up with my marker. And guess what? I'm not on my timing marks on the engine. Alright, I apologize for the cliffhanger, but this video is getting too long. There is a part 2. I sure hope this information helps you out. I have had trouble finding info on this International or Farmall 706 with the D310 German engine, and I'm digging into this with partial information, but I'm also learning as I go. So I hope that you come across this if you're working on the same kind of tractor, and that it's really helpful to you. So stick around for part 2. Thanks.